From the Gray Man Briefing, this is a summary of recent developments regarding the Second Amendment, cybersecurity, protests, supply chain disruptions, national security, law and order, free speech, censorship, government oversight, and more. Now, for your situational awareness, Super Essie will be reading out the latest update. Get briefs sent in real time at graymanbriefing.com. That's gray with an A. Let's get into it.
Okay, so we did not have a broadcast last week, so we're kind of summarizing the last 2 weeks worth of content from the Gray Man Briefing. Among that, we're monitoring where one of the largest media groups appears to have admitted to partnering with Facebook, Google, and Amazon and using active listening to monitor everyone in America via their smartphones. We're also looking at a foiled terrorist attack in New York, a national constitutional carry law, a new advisory linking the TDA to Hamas, 3 major shootings, and a suspicious power outage in Washington. Let's get right into it with government oversight. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled that the Department of Justice had used a flawed interpretation of the obstruction statute when charging defendants from the January 6th events. This resulted in the DOJ dropping charges related to obstruction in approximately 100 cases. Many of these individuals had faced up to 20 years in prison under the original charges. Also looking at that Veteran Affairs shortfall, the VA is facing a $15 billion budget shortfall with a deadline of September 20th for congressional action. Without additional funding, millions of veterans could lose disability compensation and benefits, which has been exacerbated by a ransomware attack and increased claims from the PACT Act. If not resolved, veterans and their families could face financial hardships, and the VA's credibility could be in jeopardy. However, just here in the last few hours, a $3 billion supplement was passed by the House to address this shortfall, and we'll monitor that going forward, or at least the briefing will. In New York City, the Department of Health confirmed that pesticide trucks are spraying the streets with low concentration of chemicals such as Anvil 10+10 and Maris 3 to reduce the alleged spread of West Nile virus. The trucks are issuing audio warnings while driving by, advising residents to stay indoors while the spraying takes place. So far, 4 cases of West Nile virus have been recorded in all 5 boroughs. They've been detected, at least mosquitoes carrying this virus have been detected, but only 4 cases. And you should definitely read the briefing to realize how non-serious West Nile virus is. Moving a little bit into commercial oversight now, the Cox Media Group, which is that large U.S. media company, it's come under scrutiny for using active listening software that records conversations via smartphones and then uses artificial intelligence to target consumers with advertising. The company claims to have partnered with Google, Amazon, and Facebook to obtain user data. CMG's now deleted post defended the practice as legal, citing terms of use agreements consumers often accept unknowingly. So this all came out from a leaked PowerPoint presentation that Cox uses to kind of boast their abilities to potential clients. Now moving into major incidents and current events. In Seattle, in Washington, and we're also going to talk about some Louisiana power outages here. So there were widespread outages reported, particularly in Washington. 197,000 customers were reportedly impacted, but utility authorities claimed only 18,000 were without power. They said it was some sort of technical issue, that whatever everyone else is reporting is wrong because something happened with their computers. Only 18,000 people are out of power, not 200,000. So that's a little weird, and the cause of the power outage is unknown. And also, you also had about 136,000 people lose power during Hurricane Francine a few days ago. Following the Appalachia High School mass shooting, multiple schools in at least 27 states faced alleged threats. While these incidents some of them involved actual security issues, most threats were determined to be part of a social media trend that was happening on platforms such as Snapchat and TikTok. These disruptions may be influencing the debate around gun control. So basically, on social media and via this telephone effort, people are calling in potential school shootings or threats that aren't real as part of a propaganda campaign to sway support for more gun control. The shooter at Appalachia, early indications are that he was gay, was possibly bullied, and acted as a means of revenge for trans rights. Let's talk about that shooting in Kentucky. An active shooter on I-75 between exits 49 and 41 in London, Kentucky, opened fire on multiple drivers and passengers, just people driving down the road. I think he was on the overpass. When this briefing was first written early on, 7 people had been shot. The suspect at that time remained at large, but he was later identified. I don't know if he's been captured or not. I'm just reading a previous brief from a little over a week ago. Also, the Gray Man Briefing does have coverage on the latest assassination attempt on former President Trump, and you can read more into that at graymanbriefing.com. That's Gray with an A. Let's look now into national security and global conflict. The CIA and MI6 chiefs stressed that there needs to be more U.S.-UK intelligence partnerships. In a joint op-ed, the director of the CIA and the chief of MI6 emphasized the significance of the U.S.-UK intelligence partnership. They discussed emerging global threats, including Russia's invasion of Ukraine, conflicts in the Middle East, and the rise of China. They noted the increasing importance of advanced technologies such as artificial intelligence in modern warfare, and stressed the need for continuous adaptation in intelligence operations. In Lebanon, over 1,000 people, possibly 2,000 people, were targeted by explosive-laden pagers, and these people were Hezbollah terrorists. It appears that Mossad, though they haven't claimed responsibility, were able to get explosive devices in newly issued pagers and walkie-talkies, little FRS, GMRS radios, and suddenly detonated them. So yeah, that's kind of like a spy movie sort of action there. Let's look now over in New York. Mohammed Shahzeb Khan, a 20-year-old Pakistani citizen residing in Canada, was arrested on September 4th for plotting a terrorist attack in New York City. He intended to carry out a mass shooting at a Jewish center in Brooklyn in support of ISIS. Authorities believe the attack was planned for October 7th. Let's move into civil unrest. In Winston-Salem, North Carolina, a pregnancy center was vandalized, with its sign altered to read Pregnancy Scare Center, along with a Wiccan note left at the scene. This is part of a larger trend of attacks on pro-life centers since that 2022 SCOTUS leaked ruling, that's leaked draft ruling on abortions. Continuing here, moving into New York, actually, I'm sorry. Pro-Palestinian and Antifa activists protested against the new public safety academy at the NYPD campus in College Point, Queens. The protest included anti-police messages such as "No Cop City in Queens" and opposition to the facility's construction, which is set to begin in 2026. In Philadelphia, pro-Palestinian and Hamas sympathizers gathered outside the National Constitution Center during the presidential debate. The group waved Hamas flags and chanted slogans targeting both Trump and Harris. There was a self-immolation in Boston. A pro-Palestinian and climate activist set himself on fire near the Israeli consulate. The man claimed the U.S. was aiding Israel and failing to address environmental concerns. A pro-Palestinian, who was a counter-protester at a pro-Israeli rally in Newton, Massachusetts. Basically, there's this pro-Israel protest going on, and a counter-protester who supported Palestine started yelling at the protesters, and at one point crossed the road and tackled a pro-Israeli person, and that pro-Israeli person then pulled out a firearm and shot the counter-protester in apparent self-defense. The Israeli man was arrested and charged and identified publicly, while the pro-Palestinian counter-protester has been hospitalized and not identified and not charged. Pro-life activists, including members of the Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America group, challenged ABC moderators after they fact-checked Trump's statement about abortion practices. The activists cited CDC data showing that over 100 babies born alive after failed abortions had died between 2003 and 2014. They also cited other evidence and are calling for ABC to retract that fact check. In Asheville, North Carolina, pro-Palestinian and anti-police activists held an All Cops Are Bastards ACAB seminar at a public local library. The event led to unrest involving assaults and robberies. 3 people were arrested for ethnic intimidation and resisting arrest. Over in Richmond, Virginia, pro-Palestinian activists vandalized police vehicles, setting fires and launching fireworks at law enforcement. The protest focused on opposition to the Virginia Israeli Advisory Board, reflecting ongoing tensions, of course, between U.S. support for Israel. In Alabama, local citizens voiced their opposition to the housing of Haitian immigrants in their area. During a city council meeting, the council president ended the session abruptly when the residents questioned the local government's acceptance of these new arrivals, leading to media reports that the residents were booted from the meeting. In New England, or actually in Nantucket, Massachusetts, the New England Fishermen's Stewardship Association protested against the Vineyard Wind project using a flotilla at sea. The protest was in response to multiple broken wind turbines, which have raised concerns about the impact on both the environment and local fishing industry. On September 14th, LGBT and pro-choice activists protested in Washington, D.C., advocating for bodily autonomy. Illegal immigrants in San Diego have begun surrounding school buses at bus stops. Although their motives remain unclear, reports suggest they may be seeking free transportation. In some instances, parents and bus drivers have helped prevent the incidents by quickly moving away or intervening. In New York City, pro-Palestinians rioted on Labor Day, setting off smoke bombs, fires, vandalizing property, and again waving Hamas flags. In a separate incident, protests resumed at Columbia University on their first day of classes, with rioters clashing with police and vandalizing university property again. A pro-Palestinian organization known as Palestine Action US has rebranded and declared its intent to shift from passive protest to militant actions. The group pledges to besiege the White House in a declaration they released on August 28th, calling for a violent uprising against the U.S. government. They're called now the Unity of Fields. There was another security breach at a Trump rally in Jamestown, Pennsylvania. Also, looking at Springfield, Ohio, the Patriot Front held a rally protesting the arrival of Haitian immigrants in the city. The group claimed that the influx of migrants was lowering the quality of life for local residents and contributing to social instability. Let's look now at the Second Amendment. Lawmakers have introduced H.R. 9534, which would allow for a national constitutional carry, meaning Americans could carry firearms without permits in all 50 states. While the legislation wouldn't eliminate background checks, it aims to prevent states from imposing regulations, fees, or penalties on law-abiding citizens for carrying firearms in self-defense. Also, the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit has blocked several firearm carry bans in California and Hawaii, making it legal for citizens to carry firearms in locations that were previously restricted. In California, this includes hospitals, public transport, and places of worship, while Hawaii's ban on carrying in banks and adjacent parking lots has also been overturned. And let's finish up here with national security. Let's talk about that criminal organization, TDA. There was a sensitive law enforcement advisory that we obtained. It says that the TDA is now operating in 9 U.S. states, including Texas, Virginia, and Florida. The group, which originated in Venezuela, has been linked to Hamas and Hezbollah and may be involved in targeting police and military installations in the U.S. And all this information has come out of a law enforcement bulletin. Several incidents, including shootings and attempts to infiltrate military bases, have raised concerns about escalating violence tied to the TDA, and the advisory calls for heightened vigilance among law enforcement and military personnel. The Gray Man Briefing did a massive brief on this one, where they broke down that bulletin, that advisory, or the included advisories in the bulletin. Definitely should look into this one if you want to read more into it and see their sources on that. Well, that's it. Remember, these briefings are delivered in real time to Gray Man Briefing subscribers, sent via Telegram and the Signal app, also via weekly emails. Due to time constraints and the risk of censorship, we can't cover it all here. Please interact with this broadcast to help us increase engagement and views. Thanks for listening, and as always, remain aware, be vigilant, and stay safe. Thanks.
Get unredacted real-time briefings sent via email and through the Telegram and Signal apps by joining the Grayman Briefing.